Hi everyone, it's Alex from Alex and Erika's channel, and today we're talking about visiting Puerto Vallarta by cruise ship. We absolutely love to cruise. We cruise often and have cruised this itinerary many times. I really enjoy helping first-time cruisers get the most out of their vacation dollars. Travel isn't cheap these days, so in this video I'm going to share our favorite Puerto Vallarta routine when we visit, plus some new tips and updates, as well as one of our preferred vendors that we really enjoy using. Puerto Vallarta is one of our favorite spots. It's actually where Erika and I met originally about 20 years ago, and we still visit there once or twice a year. Also, be sure to subscribe and share this video with your cruise Facebook group or anybody else you're traveling with. I have 3 videos for the most popular Mexican Riviera ports: Cabo, Puerto Vallarta, and Mazatlan, so be sure to check those out. So arriving in port, when you arrive by cruise ship, you'll usually have 10 to 12 hours in port, which is plenty of time to explore. Most ships will dock at the south port at the main terminal, but there's also a north pier. Usually there's 1 ship in port, but I have seen as many as 3 in port on the same day. So the south pier will give you access to the main terminal, but either way, it's easy to step off the ship and start your day. There's no tender boats required, so you don't have that to worry about. You can walk right off. Right across the street from the terminal is a Walmart, a perfect spot if you forgot anything like sunscreen, toothpaste, or anything else. It's also a great spot to buy some tequila to take home. Also next door to the mall are a couple banks where you can grab some pesos if you want to have them. Although you really don't need to have them, but it's nice to have a little bit of local currency just in case. Everyone will take your dollars, but sometimes the exchange rate is not as good if you pay in dollars, so it is nice to have some local currency ready. But we also use our credit cards most of the time to get around, and Uber is also readily available in Puerto Vallarta, which makes things a little bit easier. So the official taxi stand is inside the terminal, and it's convenient, but it's a little bit more expensive. On our last trip, they quoted us about $20 to go down to the Malecón. We walked outside the gates and caught a regular cab for about $7 or $8. You can also take an Uber outside the terminal. Uber works everywhere in Puerto Vallarta. Just meet your driver outside the terminal. We usually catch an Uber or taxi at the Pemex gas station or Oxxo convenience store, which is just south of the cruise ship terminal. Oxxo is like a 7-Eleven in Mexico. A quick tip on the time zone. If you're sailing from Long Beach, the ship usually stays 1 hour behind local time. So to avoid any confusion, I usually have an additional clock on my phone's home screen with the local time whenever we're visiting a port. Just make sure you keep track of that time. You don't want to take any risk missing the ship or whatever your back on board time is. So our typical go-to in Puerto Vallarta, what we usually do, we usually skip breakfast on the ship and we head out early. We'll get an early lunch at a restaurant called Ocho Tostadas. It's a local seafood spot near the marina. It's an easy 15-minute walk or short Uber ride, and the seafood there is great. We love the crispy or garlic shrimp. We enjoy a little bit of the seafood. We'll have a few beers, and the prices are very reasonable. After that, we'll head south to Los Muertos Beach, usually by Uber. Also, all the beaches in Mexico are public, so you can simply spread out your cruise towel and relax for free, or you can rent a chair and umbrella with a small food and drink minimum. We really like Sapphire Beach Club, which is down in the Los Muertos Beach area. It's a very mellow spot, and it's got a nice small pool. The food there is really good. They do have an entry fee, but we felt like it was well worth it considering you had more space. You had access to changing rooms and the pool area. The pool is a little bit smaller, but it's perfect to cool off and relax. If you want a little bit more of a party scene, next door there's a spot called Blue Chairs. That's a great spot also. You can't go wrong with most places along that beach area. Just check out the menus, the reviews, make sure the prices are reasonable. And then later on in the afternoon, when it's time to start packing up and heading back, we'll usually walk the Malecón, which is the oceanfront boardwalk. We'll do some shopping, we'll grab a drink or an appetizer. It's just a very entertaining spot to walk. Also, there's a cigar shop. I don't smoke, but they make great drinks. And if you want to buy a cigar to take home as a gift, definitely check it out. It's called El Gato Gordo. Also along the Malecón, one of our favorite dive bars is called the Devil's Bar. It's a fun way to finish off the night, or finish off our day before we head back to the ship. So this is like a typical day for us when whether we're on a cruise or we're just visiting, doing a regular land vacation and we want to get out of the hotel. But there's some new variables to consider, and that's what I'm going to talk about next. So a resort pass. Sometimes we mix it up with a day pass to a local resort. I usually use resortpass.com or Resort for a Day, or sometimes book directly through the hotel. I really like this option if you want a little bit more relaxation, or if you have kids. I like it with the kids because it usually caters to everyone. The hotel will have food and drinks available, sometimes included in your pass, or sometimes you get a credit for food and drinks. And then the pool area is always great for the kids, and it will keep them busy. And then lately, the Marriott has been our favorite spot to go to. But check the websites, check the reviews, and see what the availability is because it's constantly changing. Also, the cruise lines often visit these ports Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, so that sometimes means the hotels are not as busy as they are on the weekends. Next, let me talk about some of the classic cruise excursion options. Some you can do on your own, some you can do through the cruise line. But if it's your first time to Puerto Vallarta, I definitely recommend doing one of these. If you're looking for a little bit more adventure, a little bit more fun, you can book through the cruise line directly or with a company like Vallarta Adventures, which is a main operator. I believe a lot of cruise lines use this company also. There's only one excursion that you really have to book with the cruise line because of the schedule, and that's Rhythms of the Night. They return to port late in the evening, so you'll be one of the last to board the ship before you head out. But if you're late returning to the ship, they'll wait for you because you booked through the cruise line. It's a little pricey, but it's a great excursion. As far as a few other excursions we really like, the pirate ship to Yelapa Beach. That's a fun show for kids and adults on the way to a gorgeous beach. It's a lot of fun. Our kids have really enjoyed this excursion as well as the adults. There's also the Catamaran Beach Day, similar to the pirate ship excursion, but without the pirate ship. You'll still go to a great show, going to the beach and then returning. Food, drinks, music, dancing. It's always a great time. And you'll usually go to Yelapa Beach or one of the neighboring beaches nearby. Then there's Las Caletas Hideaway. This is a private cove with zip lines, obstacle courses, and water slides. This is a great excursion. It's great if you have older kids and don't mind letting them loose to go around on their own. It's a secure area, very safe. There's zip lines, water slides, and all types of activities to keep everyone busy. And then again, there's Rhythms of the Night, as I mentioned earlier. It's a spectacular dinner show that I recommend booking through the cruise line, so you're guaranteed to be back before they sail away. Also, I should mention that when you do this tour on a cruise versus a regular land vacation, the show happens a little earlier in the evening, so you don't get the full effect with the show in the darkness, but it's still a great show. Also, there's an ATV Razor jungle ride with a tequila stop and some waterfalls. We just did this recently. You ride through the hills to a scenic viewpoint and waterfall with a little tequila tasting at the end. We did this a few months ago. It was a little pricey, but it was a lot of fun. We had a blast. Just be prepared to get dirty, but you can rinse off at the end of the tour. The tour ends driving across a large suspension bridge in Mexico, and it's a really, really cool experience. Also, there's Los Arcos Islands. It's a boat tour with snorkeling. You explore a marine park with coral and caves and kayaking. Some of the beach tours I mentioned earlier will have a stop at Los Arcos to snorkel. So ask, because that will cover 2 stops on one excursion. You'll get to go to Los Arcos and you'll get to go to a great beach. Also, let me mention a few tours at a bit of a slower pace. There's a baby turtle release experience. You get to help release hatchings into the ocean while learning about conservation. It's a very cool experience. It might be something for you to consider. There's also a bunch of food and culinary tours, tacos, food tasting, tequila, mezcal tasting, along with bean to bar chocolate making classes. Also, Puerto Vallarta is just a couple hours away from the town of Tequila. And then lastly, Puerto Vallarta does have a few hop-on, hop-off buses. This is a super relaxed way to see the beaches, some great viewpoints, churches, sculptures, and markets. And it will pick you up right there at the cruise port. And then if this is your first time in Puerto Vallarta, I'd really recommend that you do one of these excursions I mentioned above. Most of them will have you back to the marina by 2 to 3 p.m. And then you can use your afternoon to walk around the Malecón, the boardwalk in Puerto Vallarta, enjoy the sunset, do some shopping, then head back to the cruise ship in the early evening. As far as safety goes, the tourist zones in Puerto Vallarta are really safe. Just use normal common sense. Stay in well-traveled areas. Don't travel around by yourself if possible. Don't do anything you wouldn't do back home and you'll be just fine. And then a few extra tips. The best season or time to visit, in my opinion, is February through April, which has great weather. The weather throughout the year is always very good, but the summer months bring a lot more humidity and afternoon showers. So earlier in the year, the weather is a little bit, the weather's always warm, but it's not too humid. Also, I should mention Playa Camarones. This is a quieter beach day. It's less crowded than Los Muertos Beach and offers paddleboarding, parasailing, and a lot of, you'll really find more of a local vibe at this beach. And it's a little bit closer to the cruise port. Money, try to carry some pesos for the taxis and tips if you can. Timeshare pitches are really common. Just politely decline and move on. Independent tours, they can save some money, but double check the reviews and return times to avoid missing the ship. Many of the tours I mentioned above, with the exception of Rhythms of the Night, you can do on your own and save a significant amount of money. So I'd encourage you to try and do those on your own. Also, we have a tour guide in Puerto Vallarta. His name is Juan Peña Jr. I'll link his information below as well as some of the other tours I mentioned. Juan is a great tour guide, and he's recognized by the local government as an official tour guide for the Visitors and Hospitality Bureau in Puerto Vallarta. He can offer some great city and cultural tours, so definitely reach out to him if you're interested in a private tour. Puerto Vallarta remains one of the safest, most vibrant ports in Mexico. You can keep cost very reasonable with a simple taxi ride to the beach and a stroll along the Malecón, or you can splurge on a resort pass or an excursion, but either way, you'll have an amazing day. If you found this video helpful, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe for more cruise videos, share it with your travel group or on Facebook. And if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. Thank you again for watching this video. Happy cruising, and we'll see you next time.